negotiating salaries. So I'm going to start with the quote from the article. So this is the article that I was looking at. And the quote that kind of jumped out at me is, when negotiating, you need to do your homework, price out your skills online, consider how different factors like job location, organization priorities, and job requirements may impact the value of your skill set. If you're applying for a job in Iowa City, it just won't pay the same as if in San Francisco, no matter how good you are. So that kind of jumped out at me, is where you're getting your job makes a difference. Do you have any experience with that?
Yeah. Well, I have some experience coming from New Jersey to Ohio, but I guess more specifically, I'll speak to my husband's just been applying to jobs all over the nation. And he got a couple offers, and the job salary prices were very different because it's different to work in Minneapolis as where we're going to Miami. So he had to kind of figure out, well, what am I worth, but what am I worth in Minneapolis, and what am I worth in Miami, Florida, and then try to negotiate a salary from there. So it's kind of difficult. You have to figure out cost of living of different places and really try to figure out what are other people making in the field in that location, and then try to figure out where you fall in that.
So my main takeaway from this article is to just do your homework, and you have to look up that information to know what job you're going to do, how much it pays in those areas, so that when you're asked how much you're thinking about getting paid, you know what ballpark, so that you're not asking for too little or too much.
Yeah, I agree with that. And you also so a little bit about location, but also just do your homework about your skill set and your certifications based on what other people are even making in that location.
So when I was looking for teaching jobs, I got offered a job in San Francisco that paid $40,000. And then I got a job that offered in Columbus that paid $32,000. And I realized that 40,000, even though it was more, $8,000 more in San Francisco, everything's like twice as expensive. So I would be living like I had $20,000. So that's my example, is that you got to really know how much you should get paid in that area. So big money mistake that I think that could happen is just not knowing, right? So if you go in and you sit down with your boss and you say, they say, how much do you want to make? And you're thinking, I made $32,000 in Columbus and I'm now living in San Francisco. It would be a huge mistake to just say, hey, I made $32,000 in Columbus, give me $40,000 and I would be really happy. So that would be a huge money mistake.
Yeah, and another money mistake, I guess, just as a female voice here, to shout out to women tend to undersell what their worth is. So especially as a female, do your work and do your research on how to negotiate for that. You know, what are the things that you need to say when you're asking for it, and how to approach that conversation well. There's a lot of resources out there on how to bridge that conversation, so that you don't undersell yourself, that, you know, maybe you're really worth $30 an hour, but you're nervous to ask for that, so you settle for 20. That's going to be a huge difference in the long haul. So just don't make that money mistake of underselling.
Do you think it's fair to ask your coworkers how much they make, and then, you know, say, hey, I'm as good as Johnny, so I should get the same amount as that?
I think if you have the relationship with your coworkers, or you know people at the job, and it wouldn't be insulting to ask. I mean, money can be a dicey area to talk about, but there's also a lot of public information out there now too. So even if you didn't want to talk to your coworkers, one of the first things I'm moving to Florida, I want to figure out what teachers make down there. I go to the websites. I try to find any public info that's already out there about salaries and how many years experience that is. And then I go from there. So I don't think it's rude to ask your coworkers, but you don't want to put anyone in a weird place. And then you don't want to bring that name to your boss. And now they're in the mix. So you have to be careful, but with a good relationship, yeah.
So basically do your homework, whether that means asking your coworkers or even just getting online and researching how much the job should pay in that area. And don't be afraid to ask what you should get. Any other thoughts, Ms. Klein?
Go get them.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Goodbye.
Bye.